That night in Studio 6B, there were two wedding stories. One was Adele's, the heartbreak that inspired Someone Like You, the failed relationship that became one of the most beautiful songs ever written about loss. The other was Sarah Mitchell's, the wedding that never happened, the dress she never got to wear, the marriage that ended 2 days before it began when she found out her fiancé had been lying to her for months. Adele had turned her heartbreak into music. Sarah had turned hers into fabric scraps. Literally. The night she called off the wedding, after crying for hours, after calling every guest, after canceling the venue, she took scissors to her wedding dress. Not in rage, in ritual, in reclaiming. She cut the lace. She tore the train. She destroyed the symbol of a future that was never real. And then she kept the pieces. Because sometimes you need to see what broke to understand what survived. For 2 years, Sarah kept that torn dress in a box. She'd take it out sometimes when Someone Like You played, and she'd cry and heal in equal measure. And tonight she'd brought it to the Tonight Show, where Adele was performing. Sarah didn't have a plan. She just needed Adele to see it, needed someone to witness what it looked like when dreams tore. What Sarah didn't expect was for Adele to stop singing mid-performance, to walk into the audience, to hold that torn dress, and to say the words that would heal them both. "Darling, you didn't tear this dress. You freed yourself." Studio 6B was electric that November evening. Adele was the guest, there to perform Someone Like You and promote her latest album. The audience was packed with devoted fans, many of whom had grown up with Adele's music, who'd cried to her songs through their own heartbreaks, who knew every word, every note, every pause. What the producers didn't know was that Row 5, Seat 11, held someone with a very specific reason for being there. Sarah Mitchell, 28 years old, sat clutching a large tote bag in her lap. Inside that bag, wrapped carefully in tissue paper, was a wedding dress. Or what was left of one. Sarah hadn't planned to bring the dress. She'd bought the Tonight Show tickets 6 months ago, excited to see Adele perform live. But the night before the show, while packing her bag, she'd opened her closet and seen the box she'd kept for 2 years, the box containing the torn remains of the dress she was supposed to wear on the best day of her life, the day that never came. On impulse, heart pounding, Sarah had taken the dress out and put it in her tote bag. She didn't have a plan. She just knew she needed it with her, needed Adele, whose voice had been her companion through the darkest 2 years of her life, to somehow know that her music mattered, that it had saved someone, that heartbreak could become something other than just pain. The show opened with Jimmy's warm welcome. When he introduced Adele, the applause was deafening. Adele walked out in an elegant black gown, her presence commanding and gentle simultaneously, that famous smile lighting up the stage. After a brief, charming interview where Adele made Jimmy and the audience laugh with stories about her son and her love of wine, she moved to the piano for the performance everyone had been waiting for. "This song," Adele said softly into the microphone, her hands resting on the piano keys, "changed my life. I wrote it when my heart was completely broken, when I thought I'd never be okay again. And somehow, turning that pain into music made it bearable. So this is Someone Like You." She began to play. Those iconic opening chords filled the studio, and when Adele started singing, the entire room fell silent. "I heard that you're settled down." In row 5, Sarah felt tears immediately spring to her eyes. This song had been playing in her car 2 years ago when she'd driven away from her fiancé's apartment after finding the text messages from another woman. This song had played at 2 a.m. when she couldn't sleep, when the wedding that was supposed to happen in 48 hours wasn't going to happen at all. Sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Sarah's hands moved to the tote bag in her lap. Almost unconsciously, she pulled out the tissue paper bundle and unwrapped it. The torn wedding dress unfolded in her lap, the bodice still beautiful, the lace sleeves shredded, the train cut into strips. "Never mind, I'll find someone like you." Sarah started crying. Not quiet tears, real broken sobs that came from a wound that had healed, but still ached sometimes. She clutched the torn fabric and sang along through her tears, the words pouring out of her like a prayer she'd been holding for 2 years. And that's when Adele heard it. A voice from the audience, singing with her, but not in celebration, in pain, in healing, in something that sounded like both breaking and becoming whole. Adele's own voice faltered slightly. Her eyes scanned the audience, searching for the source, and then she saw it. Row 5. A young woman with tears streaming down her face, holding what appeared to be a torn wedding dress. Adele stopped playing. Her hands lifted from the piano keys mid-measure. The band noticed and stopped too. The studio fell into confused silence. "Wait," Adele said softly, staring at row 5. What is that you're holding, darling?" The cameras found Sarah immediately. On every monitor in the studio, everyone could see. A young woman in jeans and a simple blue sweater, clutching a torn white wedding dress, crying her heart out. Sarah looked up, realizing Adele was talking to her. "I'm so sorry," she choked out. "I didn't mean to. I'm sorry." But Adele was already moving. She stepped away from the piano and walked to the edge of the stage. "No, love, don't apologize. What is that? Is that a wedding dress?" Sarah nodded, unable to speak. "Can you stand up for me?" Adele asked gently. Sarah stood on shaking legs, still holding the torn dress. Adele made a decision. Without asking permission, without hesitation, she walked off the stage completely and moved into the audience. Jimmy Fallon immediately followed, recognizing that something important was happening. When Adele reached row 5, people shifted to create space. She stopped directly in front of Sarah and looked at the dress, really looked at it. The beautiful bodice, the shredded sleeves, the torn train, the destroyed dream made visible. "Sweetheart," Adele said, her voice infinitely gentle, "can you tell me what happened?" Sarah tried to speak but couldn't. The words were stuck behind 2 years of pain and healing and shame and pride all mixed together. Adele reached out and touched the torn fabric. "This was your wedding dress, wasn't it?" Sarah nodded. "And you tore it," Adele said. Not a question, an understanding. "Yes," Sarah finally whispered. 2 years ago, my wedding was supposed to happen, but 2 days before," her voice broke. "2 days before, I found out he'd been cheating on me for 8 months while we were planning the wedding. While I was picking flowers and trying on this dress, he was with someone else." The studio was completely silent. 240 people listening to one woman's pain. "I called off the wedding," Sarah continued, words coming faster now. "I canceled everything, called every guest, returned all the gifts, and on what should have been my wedding day, I sat in my apartment alone, and this dress was hanging in my closet, and it felt like it was mocking me, like this beautiful, expensive thing was laughing at how stupid I'd been." Tears were streaming down Adele's face now. "So that night," Sarah said, "I put on Someone Like You, on repeat, and I took scissors to this dress. I cut the sleeves, I tore the train, I destroyed it, because I needed to destroy the lie it represented. I needed to take back power over something." "And then you kept the pieces," Adele said softly. "Yes," Sarah said, "because after I tore it, something strange happened. I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying this weight, and I finally put it down. So I kept it, as a reminder that I survived, that I chose myself over a lie." Adele was openly crying now. She reached out and took Sarah's hands, the torn dress between them. "Can I tell you something?" Sarah nodded. "I wrote Someone Like You about a man who broke my heart," Adele said, "and for a long time, I thought that song was about him, about what I lost. But over the years, I realized something. That song isn't about him at all. It's about me. It's about surviving heartbreak. It's about finding yourself on the other side of pain. And Sarah," Adele's voice cracked, "you didn't just survive. You turned your pain into a ritual. You took control of your narrative. You tore this dress not because you were angry, because you were brave." Sarah started sobbing harder. "Darling," Adele said firmly, holding Sarah's hands tighter, "you didn't tear this dress. You freed yourself." Those words hit Sarah like a wave. For 2 years, she'd felt shame about what she'd done to the dress, like it was evidence of weakness, of being unable to handle heartbreak gracefully. But Adele whose songs had saved her, was telling her it was bravery. Adele turned to the audience. Everyone needs to understand what we're witnessing here. This isn't a destroyed wedding dress. This is a woman taking her power back. This is a woman saying, I will not be defined by someone else's betrayal. This is courage made visible. The studio erupted in applause, but it wasn't the usual talk show applause. It was supportive, reverent, women and men alike recognizing something profound. Jimmy Fallon was crying openly, making no attempt to hide it. Adele turned back to Sarah. Can I ask you something? When you cut this dress, what were you thinking? Sarah took a shaky breath. I was thinking, I wanted to hurt something the way I'd been hurt, but when I started cutting, it changed. I was thinking, this dress was supposed to be my armor for the best day of my life, but it became armor for the worst day, and I needed to destroy the armor to find myself underneath. Poetry, Adele said simply. That's poetry, Sarah. Your music helped me, Sarah said urgently. I need you to know that. Someone like you. I must have listened to it 1,000 times. It was the only thing that made me feel less alone. Every time I wanted to call him, every time I wanted to go back, I listened to your voice and I remembered. Heartbreak means you're still alive, still feeling, still capable of love. Adele pulled Sarah into a tight hug. Two women who'd turned heartbreak into something beautiful, one through music, one through fabric and scissors and courage. When they pulled apart, Adele looked at the dress again. You know what I see when I look at this? What? Sarah asked. I see honesty, Adele said. Wedding dresses are supposed to be perfect, but relationships aren't perfect. Love isn't perfect. This dress is the truth. It's real. It's what happens when you refuse to pretend everything is fine when it's not. She addressed the audience again. How many of us have pretended to be okay when we're not? How many of us have kept wearing the perfect dress even when it doesn't fit anymore? Sarah did something most of us are too afraid to do. She made her pain visible. She refused to hide. That's not destruction. That's honesty. The applause was even louder now. Adele turned to Jimmy. I can't finish the performance like I planned. This moment, this is more important than any performance could ever be. Agreed, Jimmy said immediately, his voice thick with emotion. Adele looked back at Sarah. Would you do something for me? Anything, Sarah said. Would you hold this dress and sing Someone Like You with me? Right here, right now. Not as a performance, as a ritual, as a way of saying, heartbreak doesn't define us. How we survive it does. Sarah's eyes went wide. I can't, I'm not a singer. Neither was I when I was heartbroken and alone, Adele said gently. But I sang anyway, because that's what we do. We make sound out of pain. We make meaning out of loss. Sing with me, darling. Let's honor this dress. Let's honor what it taught you. The studio held its breath. Sarah nodded, tears streaming. Adele returned to the piano but didn't sit. She stood beside it. Sarah walked to the stage, still holding the torn dress, and stood next to Adele, the most famous voice in the world and a regular woman who'd survived heartbreak. Adele began playing again, and together they sang. Adele's voice was perfect, powerful, trained. Sarah's voice was raw, shaky, real. But together, they created something more beautiful than perfection. They created truth. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. Sarah held up the torn dress as she sang, and in that moment, it wasn't destroyed fabric. It was a flag. It was proof of survival. It was evidence that you could tear apart what broke you and still stand. Sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. By the final chorus, half the audience was singing too, not performing, healing. Everyone who'd ever had their heart broken, everyone who'd ever had to destroy something beautiful to save themselves, everyone who'd ever survived what they thought would destroy them. When the song ended, the studio erupted. But the applause felt different. It felt like witnessing something sacred. Adele turned to Sarah. What are you going to do with this dress now? Sarah looked at the torn fabric in her hands. I don't know. I've kept it hidden for 2 years. Don't hide it, Adele said firmly. This dress is art. It's a story. It's proof that women survive. Frame it. Display it. Let it be a reminder, not of what broke, but of what you became when you refused to break with it. The segment went viral within hours. Torn dress strength trended worldwide. Women shared their own stories of heartbreak and healing. Some shared photos of their own symbolic acts, burned letters, deleted photos, donated rings. A museum in London reached out to Sarah, asking if they could display the dress as part of an exhibition on modern rituals of healing. Sarah agreed. Adele created a scholarship in Sarah's name for women leaving abusive or dishonest relationships, providing funds to help them restart their lives. Sarah Mitchell gave her first interview to a women's magazine. She talked about the dress, about the scissors, about the 2 years of healing. She ended the interview with this: "I thought tearing that dress was destroying something, but I was building something, myself, and that's stronger than any marriage could ever be." Studio 6B displays a photo in the lobby now, Adele and Sarah standing together, holding the torn wedding dress between them, both smiling through tears. The plaque reads, "In honor of every woman who had the courage to tear apart what was breaking her. Some things need to be destroyed, to be honest, because wedding dresses are supposed to be perfect. But Sarah Mitchell's dress became perfect when it tore, because it stopped lying, because it started telling the truth. Sometimes love fails. Sometimes people betray you. Sometimes dreams die 2 days before they were supposed to come true. But you survive. You take scissors to the lies. You tear apart the false future. You destroy the symbol so you can save the reality. And when you're done, you don't have a perfect dress. You have something better. Proof that you chose yourself. That you survived. That broken things can still be beautiful, maybe more beautiful, because they're honest." Adele was right. Sarah didn't tear that dress. She freed herself. And in the tearing, in the ritual, in the courage to make pain visible, she showed every woman watching that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is destroy what's destroying you.